Dealing with someone that has self-hatred is a very complex situation because that person may love you, but there are some things that you need to know about this relationship, whether it's worthwhile to stay in a relationship like that or if it can be salvaged. First of all, you are in a position where you are able to listen and validate the other person. Usually, you can be a person that can show empathy to the other person, because a person that self-hates needs somebody to listen to them without judging them and to be able to validate their feelings. But what is tricky about the situation is that person taking the time to understand their self-sabotaging ways and how their self-hatred, their own defeat, that they feel that they're not good enough, did they take the time to actually do something about it? Because it's a very deep-rooted belief based on past experiences and the conditioning from the environment, and it's a current reality that they're living in right now. And sometimes people do not recognize that they're doing that. And the only way to be able to understand whether you should be encouraging that person and sticking around in a situation like that is that person doing something about it? Are they going to seek help about it? Are they willing to fix their flaws? Not just talking about it. What actions have they taken to address the matter? Because if you're the only one that's going to be in the relationship and you're constantly validating how much you care about the person, how much you love a person, how much you see so much potential in them, if they themselves cannot see how they are defeating themselves by not doing something about it, there's nothing much that you can do. So you can be caught up in a situation where you're always going to be needing to reassure this person all the time. Because if they're not taking the time to care about themselves, even if you're putting in the work to care about them, their self-esteem might be at a point where they don't see the reason to do something about it. You might be encouraging them to do things on how they can work on their self-esteem and their well-being. You might be telling them, why don't you go try exercise, for example. They might have much more weight that they're holding on to. And if a person is holding on to much more weight, it means that they have a surplus of emotions that they have not come to make peace with and resolve. You might be encouraging them, why don't you try a hobby? You can go out dancing, you can go out singing, you can go out rock climbing, you can do 1,000 things. You might have been able to assist them in showing them how to meditate. You might be showing them how to do breath work. You could have been explaining to them things that they could do to get out and service themselves, to take better care of themselves. But if they're not doing that, you're just talking. You're just giving out love to a person that might not want to receive that. And you've got to be aware of things like that. You need to ensure that the hatred that they have within themselves, that is not negatively affecting your own well-being. Because it's really important to maintain healthy boundaries in your relationship. Of course, you are a person that needs to be patient, because you need to understand that somebody healing from self-hatred takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of personal development and a lot of getting clear on a person's trauma. They have to be aware what they have been through in order to inflict themselves with all of that self-sabotage and self-hatred. You can be patient and supportive throughout a person's journey, as long as they are taking actionable steps, doing something about it. It's a different thing for a person to speak and say, I want to do this and I want to do that, than a person actually doing it. People can say a lot of things. They can make a lot of promises. But what are the actions saying? That's what you need to look at. Also, in addition, you've got to try as much as you can to avoid trying to fix them as a person. Yes, support your person, but remember, you cannot fix someone else's self-hatred. They need to take the steps on their own through your support. And remember, be open to celebrating their progress, even if it's small in the beginning, because it's important that you acknowledge even the small things that they do and the improvements that they are making towards that journey to love themselves and to accept themselves. And you always need to remember that perhaps at one point on your journey, you might also have had the self-hatred, the self-sabotage. And it doesn't mean if somebody is not on the same level with you, that automatically makes it a bad thing. Because a lot of people have things that you do not have. And you do not have things that the other person has. So we are with people and we're getting stuff from other people and we're giving vice versa. So nobody can be the same. We're always going to be lacking things and we're always going to be needing to gain things from other people. But it all depends whether you decide to stay with a person like that. Is that person doing something about it? That is the most important. We do not care about a person's past and how they behaved, part of the old persona that they were. We do not mind that because as people, we all have a dark past and we do have a current light and dark energies in our path. But most important is what has been done about everything in the past currently right now. What are we doing? What type of solutions are we giving to our problems and our setbacks in order to make life much more presentable and much more joyous? That is what you need to ask yourself. If that person is doing some sort of work. Clearly, if they're not doing some sort of work and they're just projecting all of that self-hatred towards you, then you definitely need to re-examine whether you want to spend your life with that person, because that thing can cost you your life and your future and your joy. Okay? That's what you need to think about and reflect.